Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Do you want me to make you
All glories to Prabhupada.
all glories to Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna.
Make you co-host? Do you want me to share the screen?
I can share the screen to make it easy for you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, I want to ask you something like the background picture. It's in the temple or is just a picture?
Oh, it's our small little temple.
Oh, thank you.
Small,
It's
little, very nice
beautiful.
temple.
Yes, it's very beautiful, very beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Well, before program starts, I can talk about, I don't know, you all can see, Color Festival.
Oh,
May 17th. Everybody, not May 7th, May 13th actually.
oh, 13th.
Yeah. Send Mataji, Mother Vindavali.
Meaning I don't have to come?
You will bring her. You will bring her.
All right. You can get started, Prabhu.
Unless she comes, I cannot come.
Hare Krishna, good morning. We'll begin with prayers. Jaya Radha, Madhava, Jaya, Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha, Madhava, Jaya, Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Brajana Ranjana. Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Brajana Ranjana. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Brajana Ranjana. Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Brajana Ranjana. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशिष दिवान के सभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशिष दिवान के श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडराचार्य शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की
जय।
प्रेम से प्रभु श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसाद गौर भक्त वृंद की
जय।
जय। श्री श्री राधा शरद बिहारी की जय। जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की
जय।
परम करुणा श्री श्री गौर निताय की
जय।
हरिनाम संकीर्तन की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय।
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
All devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to morning Srimad Bhagavatam reading at ISKCON, Philadelphia. So we will continue to read from Canto 1, which is Creation, Chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali, and text 34. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Yasmin Hari Bhagavan Nijamana Ijatma Murti Yajatam Sasannati Kaman Moghan Stira Jagan Jangamanam Antar Vahirvayurivesa Atma Yasmin Harir Bhagavani Jamana Ijatma Murti Yajatam Sasannati Tannati Kamanamoghan Stirajangamanam Antar Vahirvayurivesa Atma Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Nijamana Ijatma Murti Yajatam Sasannati Kamanamoghan Stirajangamanam Antar Vahirvayurivesa Atma. Please recite.
Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Ijyamana Ijyatma Murtir Yajatam Sham Tanoti Kaman Amoghan Stiri Jangamanam Antar Bahirvayurivaisha Atma.
Anyone else?
Yasmin Hare Bhagavan Ijamana Ijatma Murtir Yajatam Samatton Tanoti Kamana Moghan Stirajangamanam Antar Bahirvyayur Vayur Iveshat Atma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Ijjamana Ijjatma Murtir Jatatam Sham Tanote Kamama Mughana Stira Jagamanam Antar Bahirvayur Ivaisha Atma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Ijamana Ijatma Murti Yajatam Sham Tadnoti Kamanamogan Sirajangamanan Antar Bahirvayu Iveshatma. Hare Krishna.
Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Ichyamana Ichyatmamurtir Yajatam Shamtanoti Kaman Amoghan Stirajangamanam Antar Bahirvayur Ivaisha Atma.
Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Ijyamana Ijyatmamurtir Yajatam Samtanoti Kaman Amoghan Sirajangamanam Antar Bahirvayur Ivesha Atma.
Thank you. Anyone else? So go for synonyms. Okay. Yeah, synonyms. Yashmin. In such sacrificial ceremonies, Harihi, the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Ijyamanaha, being worshipped, Ij Atma, the soul of all worshipable deities, Murtihi, in the forms, Yajatam, those who worship, Sam, welfare, Tanoti, spreads, Kaman, desires, Amoghan, inviolable, Sthira, Jangamanam, of all the moving and non-moving, Antaha, within, Bahi, outside, Vayu, air, Iva, like, Esaha, of all of them, Atma, spirit soul. Translation. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is he only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. Purport. It is even sometimes seen that demigods like Chandra, Indra and Chandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards. Yet, the rewards of all such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord. And it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshipper. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is the super soul of everyone, both moving and non-moving. In Bhagavad Gita 9.23, the Lord himself confirms this in the following sloka. Ye apyanya devata bhakta yajante sad asaddhadayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but is offered without true understanding. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than the Lord himself. Thus, the Supreme Lord is eternally transcendental to the material creation. But there are many who worship the demigods like the sun, the moon, and Indra, who are only material representatives of the Supreme Lord. These demigods are indirect qualitative representations of the Supreme Lord. A learned scholar or devotee, however, knows who is who. Therefore, he directly worships the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. Those who are not so learned worship such qualitative material representations. But their worship is unceremonious because it is irregular. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksharan militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhisesa Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasad Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Again, good morning. Thank you for joining and allowing me to speak on this very complicated conversations. And I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas. I'm glad you all joined. We can together try to understand and share from this. This Srimad Bhagavatam is Prabhupada sends as a message of peace. It is said is a message of peace. Many times I feel like, okay, it is a message of peace, but it's not very easy. And how peace can be attained, it's a huge subject matter. It's a huge subject matter, and man of in this world has no faith, neither have a patience to sit and hear also. We can see the chaotic situation in this world. And Srimad Bhagavatam is descending as a message of peace to this world and to this chaotic society. But we can see this beautiful conversation, very scholarly conversation, and conversation between these two personalities, especially Parikshit Maharaj, who is a great devotee, and the personification of religion, Dharma, Bull. These conversations are such philosophical and that's meaningful in this time and age. It takes time to understand what they're talking about. Now we can see that even the personification of Dharma, he is a Dharma himself, the bull. How much knowledge he has in religious principles. At the same time, Parikshit Maharaj also has a knowledge. He understands the Dharma. He is trained. He is well educated. So these conversations are very suitable, and we need to contemplate on this. So we can see, at this age in time, the situation in this age of Kali is everywhere is disagreements. Disagreements, especially I can give them situation, in India is happening. All over the world it is happening. There are two classes of people generally Lord Krishna divides, divine and demonic. And divine is the one who is supposed to be abiding the laws of God up to some extent in different degrees, suras and asuras. And atheistic class of people, they reject the teachings of God. They're called asuras. So divine and demonic we will find. And primarily, if you see the modern education system, which is very prevailing all over the world, and into our lives also, and into our children's lives also, everyone is studying the modern education system, where there's no concept of God. The modern education system is taking everyone away from God. So in if you understand this atheistic principle, and it's prevailing all over the people at this time in the age of Kali, is product of modern education system. They know presence of God, but still there are some religious practices prevailing, and all over the world we can find different religions are being practiced by different different names. Prominents are Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jews, like that. So the practice. So we find the religious people who are practicing, and we find those who feel themselves as a secular, and the goal is sense gratification and not to accept any kind of God in their life. They blame the religious people. They blame the religious people. The whole disturbance in this world is happening is because of the religion. That's what the whole blame, because everywhere there's by the name of religion, the fight and disagreements are very prominent. Who to blame and how we can understand from these conversations of Parikshit Maharaj and Dharma. It is such a wonderful conversation, very philosophical, very mature, that these disturbances, this misunderstanding in this world can be very easily removed. Because, yeah, one side we understand that the irreligious people are prevailing and they're killing animals, they're enjoying, they're getting sense gratification, the intoxication. The four principles of religion is broken. Those who do not follow the religion. On the path of religion, the so-called religion practitioners, they fight superficially because they're understanding the way I live, that is the better way, based on their externals. But we can see Prabhupada writes very nice, beautiful statement. The principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, as you have already, may be the followed by the followers of any faith. So basically, this situation, what I'm trying to discuss is not just prominent in outside of the world, outside amongst these different religions, but within ISKCON also, sometimes we get confused. Oh, how you can do this worship? How you can? When I remember when I came to first US and I landed in Dallas, so very excited to join ISKCON, and I bought a car and drove to Kalachandji temple. As enthusiastic, I was engaged in different services, and I entered the kitchen there. So when I entered the kitchen, I found noodles is being served, cooked. The spaghetti noodles. My immediate reaction was, "What? Krishna eats noodles? You serve noodles to Krishna?" So the response to that from the devotee came is, "Yeah, Krishna eats noodles also." Wow, that's a big education for me, because I was seeing these with my own glasses. Krishna is supposed to be eaten dal, rice, sabji, served dal, rice, sabji, and all this thing. Because I come with my own conditioning. But when we look into the principle, is the loving service. Yat karosi, whatever you do and whatever you eat. Krishna says that it did not say dal and rice only. Every culture will have their own. The nature provides different types of food, and they have to live in that condition, and they serve accordingly. So we have to accept the principle, not the details. So based on the time and place, religious practitioners, their appearance, their dress, their food, it changes. It changes. But in principle, what principle we can see is that how that religious practice is, living on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. That's very important. That needs to be. That is what is supposed to be common in all religions. Dharma means satisfying the Lord, and everyone serves the Lord in different degrees, different level of understanding. And Bhagavatam also explains, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabdati. The absolute truth will be realized in three different aspects, and ultimate realization is Bhagavan. So it is natural that this world will be diverse in understanding the Supreme Lord's position, realizing of this absolute truth in very different way. And the only commonalities in religion we should find is, these principles of religion supposed to be fine. But so that's why Prabhupada made it very clear, everybody's fighting. The Christians have their own propaganda to thinking that ours is the best. So they go all over the world, they try to, convert people without understanding the principles of religion. Muslims also do the same way, they go and they forcefully, they did, history says that forcefully imposing and making without understanding the principles of religion. And same is happening in Hindu. Now Hindus agitated. They want, okay, all of you people who went, please come back. You become Hindu without understanding the principles of religion. So this external conversion is really not primarily important, doesn't make any difference whether one become Hindu or Muslim, if one does not understand the principle of religion. Yes. As long as one is serving Lord and following these principles, so that is dharma is there, where all these principles are practiced. The four legs of religion is dharma. So where is the bull is worshipped? The bull is worshipped wherever the four legs of religion is practiced, the principles of religion is practiced. Okay, so now what is the issue is happening is, the Bhagavatam religion are just principles of religion, are just following the principles of religion. That's what it is. You will find varieties in different parts of the world, but Bhagavatam suggests that you follow the principles. These are not the dogmas or regulatory principles of certain faith. These four principles, it doesn't belong to a certain faith. It is universal. It is universal. When these four principles are seen, irrespective of external appearance of a person, it doesn't make any difference. So what happens is, because generally nowadays, if you find the rulers of this world, they are voted by, by citizens as a democracy. They come to the position of administration. But when such difficult situations are put in front of them, how to solve this, how to handle this situation. In a society, all these different varieties of people live together, and how to handle this situation. Even the government fails to resolve this, because the government has no understanding what are the principles of religion, so they cannot provide any solution. That's why they always try to, either they take advantage of these people saying, oh, we will do good to you, we will do good to you. They try to get the vote for their own selfish motive. Or they try to patch off temporarily fix for something, for some day. But actually the issue remains, issue of non-cooperation, finding differences between different cultures remains within the society. It's because of ignorance of the leaders. That's why the Bhagavatam plays a very important role to bring peace in the society, because Bhagavatam is going to teach us that dharma, which is in principle, it can be practiced by any place. So there'll be cooperation and understanding. But unfortunately, because of the degradation of Kali, with the propagation of age of Kali, people are becoming very, very proud, attached to human intoxication. And by the influence of the age of Kali, even everyone thinks I am very proud, even small child. We can see that when we come to Hare Krishnas, we are a little humble. Wow, I'm learning this. I'm very grateful. But as soon as we become a little we know a little bit of the philosophy and a little bit Kirtan, we find we become a little important in our society. We become a little proud there. And we notice even a small children also, they become so proud. They say, see how I can play the harmonium nicely. I'm better. So these things are very common in the society because it's the effect of the Kali. Drinking wine, smoking. These all are very symptoms of the age of Kali. So surrendering is possible. We surrendering the Supreme Personality of God is not very difficult actually, but because of the deluding power of material energy is very powerful. The real surrender does not happen. But such surrender is possible by persons of followers of the principles of religion. Otherwise, surrendering to the Supreme Lord is not possible. Those who follow the austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, for them will be easier. These four principles of advanced civilization were remarkable features of the age of Kali, age of Satya. So simply by following these four principles, we actually belong to age of Satya Yuga. But if we follow, then it becomes very easy to surrender. And a lot of problems will be solved, if this education is shared with the different communities, especially the leaders. When the personality of Kali, now we're coming back to this situation, where when Kali understood, he pretended himself, he's the king, he's the powerful, he knows everything. But when he came in front of a very knowledgeable person, a genuine person, which is Parikshit Maharaj, he surrendered. He surrendered. He came to his own position, he immediately surrendered. And that's why we can see in this world now also, people speak so much, they come into the news, and they give on their philosophies. But when we share about Krishna consciousness, which provides all solution, all answers, you will see they will submit, they will realize it. So Kali submitted to Parikshit Maharaj, and that's why Parikshit Maharaj did not kill him. Parikshit Maharaj did not kill him. He was compassionate to all, and he's the protector. He did not kill him. So he said that you do not fear of your life, but what you can do is you cannot live in my society. Because you're the friend of irreligion, adharma. You are against the principles of religion, you cannot live in this society. Because if you live in the society, what will happen? All these bad things, falsehood, robbery, greed, misfortune, cheating, everything will prevail. That's going to happen. So Parikshit Maharaj is a very knowledgeable person on the principles of dharma, so he could take all these decisions. But unfortunately, the leaders of the society, they do not know, rulers. There's so much disturbance happening all over. So he said that you do not deserve to remain in a place where the Supreme Personality of God is worshipped, where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now today's verse is, I want to come. So this is what Parikshit Maharaj told to Kali, saying that, wherever there's the Lord is worshipped, you cannot stay. It means all over the world, the principles of dharma was practiced that time, and the Lord was worshipped everywhere. So there is no place for Kali. But today's verse, he says that in all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside, like the air. So we will pay a little contemplate on this. First of all, we can see Prabhupada says that he refers to the verses as avidipurvakam, worshipping demigods through the process of demigods is avidhi purvakam. That we will focus in a little later. But the point is here, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that, in all sacrificial ceremonies, sometimes the demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord, personality of God, is worshipped. So we see in Vedic society, Vedic culture teaches, different varieties of worship. Those who have a desire for sense gratification and those who do not have a desire for sense gratification is not same. Everybody is not Paramhamsas. In a society, in a family, in a community, we will find people of different thoughts, different level of desires, purifications. So for that reason, the Vedas provide different modes of worship so that eventually, gradually, they will elevate themselves to come to the platform for pure devotional service when they come in association of the devotees. So that's why different demigod worships also there. Parikshit Sukadeva Goswami explains in second canto. He says that, okay, those who want to worship, get power, they worship Indra. They want, those who want to have good, beautiful wife, they worship Uma. Those different diverse situations are given. So those who are educated in the Vedic culture, they understand that, and there's a cooperation. Okay, let these people grow. At this time, they have this attachment, but somehow or other we make them Krishna conscious. Right? We don't go against, oh, why are you worshipping demigods? We don't go to criticize, we don't break their temples, we don't break their faith. Krishna tells, rather don't discourage them, rather somehow or other engage them in Krishna them, connect them to Krishna consciousness. But some other processes, followers of some other paths, sometimes they have a very bad experience, bitter experiences of idol worshipping. So they become so aggressive that, oh, how come there can be so many gods? How come there can be so many gods? These all are fake, these are the idols, and this causes disturbance. And that's why there's violence happens in the society. There's a constant violence happens in the society, entering to someone else's place of worship, trying to break it, and forcefully create disturbance, thinking that you people are fools. You're worshiping so many varieties of gods and idols, the idol worshippers. There's no reality to it. So that is also is not a very mature understanding. Here we can see that, yes, in all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord, personality of God, is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone. So in demigod worship also, the Lord is the original enjoyer. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvalokam aishwaram suhudam sarvabhutanam jnantamam santir muchate. And Prabhupada also writes this verse, gives this verse. He says that yapyanya devata bhakta yajante asaddhanvitaha tepi mam eva konteya yajanti abhiti purvakam. And whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, Asana Kunti, is really meant for me alone. That's for sure. It may be is without proper understanding, or they may be doing abhidhi purvakam, but ultimately Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer and benefactor. Ultimate enjoyer and benefactor. So there is some truth and there is some purpose behind it. But all these differences within the society can be, the confusions can be removed by teaching, by the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because when we fail to understand the higher purpose, the principles, and the principle is that everyone is the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Everybody is encased in different varieties of bodies. You can call it in, the Atma is called in different languages different. Ruhu or soul or Atma, it is there. In principle, is spirit soul. The external difference is based on the time, place, and environment. I remember, I'll just give you some funny story. When I was small, going to school, I never wore the shoes. I'm sure many of you have done it being in India. Some of the schools, they impose, oh, you have to wear the shoes, full shoes and socks. So when I went to the college, my undergrad, when I went, so I heard that, oh, everybody has to wear the shoes. So I wore, but in summer season, when you wear these shoes, socks, sweat comes, it smells a lot. Is that right? You must have seen. So the wearing of shoes may be mandatory. In America, I cannot come and saying that, oh, in India, I did not wear the shoes. Why should I wear in America? Well, if you don't, then you will be in trouble. Whole feet will be cold and you will be get disease or whatever it is, health consequences to your health. So there's a details and there's a principle. I think this world is failing to understand, in principle, and we are finding the differences with diversity, thinking that they are not practicing like me, so they are not mine. They are not following in my path. Rather, Srimad Bhagavatam is very liberal. It explains that Bhagavad Dharma is that in any place one can practice these principles of Dharma and try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting the holy name. Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Sakti Tatralpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadasi Tabakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrisham Yajani Nanaragaha. Oh my Lord, you have unlimited names. You have unlimited names, and you invested all this, your potencies in your holy name. Simply by chanting this holy name, that is the perfection. One can attain the perfection, but unfortunately, I don't have any taste. I don't have any, I'm talking about myself. I don't have any taste. That's true. And if you look into the different culture, when Christianity also has, and Muslims also has, Hindus also has rosary, we call beads. Everyone has this practice of, in this age of Kali is given, the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all in all, and following the principles of Dharma, then there will be harmony within the society. And Parikshit Maharaj's statement to Kali is, wherever there's a worship of the Supreme Lord, you cannot exist. I'll just share with this again and I'll stop it for comments. So he said that in all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside, like the air. Thus, it is he only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. So understanding the Lord's presence in everywhere is very, very important. At the same time, the previously said that, O friend of religion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavad Dharma brought a broader understanding how we should appreciate, see the living entity, see as part and parcel, appreciate, understand the genuine prayers, services to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and understand the principles of religion rather than going to the details based on the time, place, and circumstances. Desikala Patra. So with this, I will pause here and I request senior devotees, everybody please share and correct for any, I must have said something in error also. Please correct me. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Vishnugada Prabhu, you have some corrections for me?
I don't have corrections, but could you explain a little more about, you were mentioning about how devotees don't disturb the faith of the demigod worshippers. Could you explain a little more about that?
Or devotees should not, or devotees does not?
That's what you said. That was you were saying in the class, that devotees don't disturb that faith.
Yeah, Prabhupada writes this purport also. Prabhupada writes. Let me share this again. Yeah, in those who wants to pursue the real purpose of life, in the sense that the goal of life is to free oneself from the birth, death, old age, and disease. Pursue the pure devotional to Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that may not happen. That's why people will have different engagements here. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita is here Karma Yoga, right? Here he says that, yeah. Yeah, this is what I was referring to. Yeah, these 3-4 verses, So just as ignorant people, they do their prescribed duties, they're attached, they worship in a way. I'll give one example is that, here people have different modes of worship: mode of passion, mode of ignorance, and mode of goodness. The demigod worships, the people worship human beings also, as especially Sai Baba was very prevailing. So one person commented on the Sai Baba worship. He said that, publicly said he should not be worshipping. There's a lot of disturbance came in that. The lot of disturbance came, and they become animosity. They create offenses. That is one thing. We say, but we say in such a way that one is not very much. It doesn't become against the devotional principles. Rather, very carefully. I just wanted to give an example. Rather, very carefully, that presentation should be done. That does not agitate their minds. They should not go against the devotional principles. That's one of the things I want to share. And then another point is, even though Krishna's with this verse here, right? You know what I'm talking. Third chapter, as ignorant is engaged this one, yeah. As the ignorant performs the duties with attachment results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading the people on the right path. So we will find people, they will be engaged, but we can set an example for them in not disturbing. So as not to disturb the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitful results of prescribed duties. A learned man should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Because if you directly become heavy on them, saying, "Oh, you're doing wrong, this is not right," demigod worship condemns, so they will become against the practice of bhakti. That's why people challenge all the time against devotees. So on the other hand, he said, if we somehow or other, like you give very good services, especially Rath Yatra. So you ask, hey, you think you can make some rotis? So some rotis means you're collecting thousands of rotis. So people may not be devoted to Jagannath. They are not devotees of, all of them are not devotees of Jagannath, but somehow or other we are engaging them in service, and then gradually they come. That's what I meant to say. Please correct me if did it make sense?
I'm not sure that we don't want to preach to those who are demigod worshippers or worshippers of Sai Baba that there's a different way that's recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Perhaps, as you said, we may not do it in a heavy way, or maybe do it in a light way, but the verses you quote, I don't see that that's, it says to work in devotion. To work in devotion to who? To, Lord Shiva, Sai Baba. I don't think it's to work in devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As my understanding, maybe I'm wrong. Part of Krishna consciousness is to speak plainly the truth. And that's why Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, that's what sadhu who speaks the truth. We find very different, diverse ways. Somebody's like straight, comes to the point. Okay, here's what this is what is done. Then another way we also see that very carefully we handle he's handled the situation and allowed him to grow or to make his decision like this. We can see sometimes devotees are very straightforward, oh, should not do this. And sometimes we see devotees that in both way we are preaching, actually. In both way we're preaching, and that's what is our dharma, that we should preach them. It's just how it is done in different, but differently by the different devotees. That's my point. Yeah, preaching has to be there. So I didn't mean that we should not preach. The Srishti Bhagavatam has to be preached, so that everyone understand that what they are doing, what the purpose of the demigod worship. So they understand ultimately Krishna is the enjoyer, benefactor of all the sacrifices. So that's the preaching. We want to preach them. That's the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. We preach all of them in whatever the situation, because this world needs this knowledge in order to have peace within their life and the peace within the society. The one job we should not give up. Now I agree with you. No, preaching has to be there. But I noticed that there are two ways of preaching. Prabhupada many times he becomes like heavy. Yes, this is what it is. But at the same time, we see that we gradually enter into different communities and try to make them Krishna consciousness, through the process of yoga, by the name of Kirtan, by the name of Food for Life. These all are our bridge programs, actually, where we don't directly tell you worship Krishna, because they will be disturbed. Okay, how can we serve? And we want to help you by giving you prasadam. So they say, okay, please come. So that is, so the prasadam purifies, and eventually they will, accept the Sikritis will work. And some of them may take to Krishna consciousness. But some places, yeah, we have to, when challenge is made, we have to present our philosophy and prove that this is the best of the practices. Sabi pumsam paradharma yato bhakti adhakshaje ahayita kiha pratetayat masu prasidate. Our Bhagavatam is very liberal and universal. It can be accepted universally, irrespective of what background one has. And that's the discussion, broader level of understanding, one can go, a living entity, by studying Srimad Bhagavatam. So by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever the background, either a demigod worshipper or he's a Christian, Muslim, they will develop, mature in their practice, in their love for God, love for Krishna. Mhm. Sorry, that's what I can tell. Any other? Yes, Pranath Prabhu is there. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Right.
Thank you. It just reminded me of my childhood, this verse. When I was growing up, a lot of sacrifices were happening, so many yagyas, sacrifices. And in the beginning, as at least people from Indian background know, that whatever you're doing, yagya or sacrifice, you start with worship to demigod Ganesha, right, to remove all the obstacles. But I very well remember that that's how it would start. But after the entire sacrifice was over, always, at least in the family and surroundings that I was raised, I always heard that at the end, the priest or even my grandfather, and this is Sri Krishna Arpanamastu, Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. So, it's interesting that not that some of them didn't know, they knew. And even before honoring prasadam also, they would remember Govinda, Govinda, prior to honoring the prasadam. So but I would see that this demigod worship was there, so inbuilt in the culture, knowing very well that Govinda is the ultimate, benefactor of all these sacrifices. I was just wondering, and it's not easy for some of them to stop doing that. This time I'm not asking any question. I just remembered when it says avidhi purvakam, that knowing very well also there was attachment, knowing very well that Krishna is the ultimate benefactor of all these sacrifices. Just remember this point.
Yeah.
So preaching, I don't know how you preach to some of these.
Yeah. I think you made the statement that demigod worship was inbuilt. I was thinking that in the Vedic system, Krishna worship is inbuilt. It's going to be like other way around, because the whole purpose, people will be there, and some or other the Vedas direct them indirectly. People don't know. They think that they're worshiping Ganesha or demigod, but ultimately the performer is trained in such a way that he knows that Krishna is the ultimate benefactor. So all the sacrifices are meant for his satisfaction, but the motive of the person, who is the the person who is conducting, is attached to that particular demigod. So that was generally is considered wrong. That is considered wrong because he's thinking that he's worshipping that particular demigod as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But expert priests, they direct the sacrifice, results of the sacrifice to the Supreme Lord. Is a purifying, it is there in that, but for all these things, there should not be violence in the society. There should not be violence in the society unnecessarily. Yeah, thank you for sharing. We all came in that similar setup. Any other comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for a nice class. I was just say about not a question or anything, just telling about Sai Baba worshipping or something, because my older sister, she's strongly Sai Baba devotee. But what I'm saying is, she's in India, but she always calls me. Whenever she calls, she tells about some slokas or something, and then I tell about my own experience, little experience about Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. But most of the things, once it happened when I was in India, she took me there also. But most of the Sai Baba bhajans and then Sai Baba preachings, I heard about Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. He quoted all Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And then she also knows all that. She tells that. And then all those bhajans, they're all about Krishna, most of them. So little bhajans, only four stanzas only, but they are all about Krishna. And she knows that. And she tells, Baba is there in front of me. I tell him everything. When I am alone, I just tell him, you take care of me. I said, yes, I have my Krishna at my room. And I tell him same way like what you are saying.
Right.
The faith is the one, what you have. And you are believing but she also tells about Krishna and Rama and everything.
That is the whole issue. It is said the holy name is pure. Yeah,
Yeah.
Vishnu Thakur wants to say, no, holy name is pure. Vishnu Thakur, please explain. Yeah.
Sorry about it.
There's two Sai Babas. Shirdi Sai Baba
Yes,
and
yes.
Satya Sai Baba.
That's Sai Baba.
So it depends on which Sai Baba you're talking about. And if it's Shirdi Sai Baba, it's very difficult to find out what his philosophy is. It's very, at least I've read something. You can't make heads or tails of what the philosophy is. So, okay. For Satya Sai Baba, he'll say mostly that he's Krishna. So then we don't go along with that. And if people sing the bhajans for Krishna, but their meaning it's this person with the big hair, we're not going to we're not supportive of that.
Yes.
Does that make sense? But beyond that, we prefer to challenge the philosophy more than the individual person by name. So that's our general approach to preaching. We approach the philosophy. We address what is the philosophy, and it's very difficult to find what the philosophy of Shirdi Sai Baba is, and perhaps it's sometimes consistent with Krishna consciousness. I don't know.
Yeah, you can know the tree from its fruits. So even though you can say people many times, oh, we also use Bhagavad Gita, but what is your do you accept the teachings of Bhagavad Gita? So that's why we should not be very carried away. It's not against any Sai Baba or anything we are talking about. Generally, we are talking about the symptoms of the age of Kali. Is the holy name is pure. It is said the holy name is pure. But if it touched by the milk is pure. Actually, if it's touched by the snake, it becomes poison. So that's why Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, holy name is pure. But if you're not getting from the devotees, so it is an impure representation. So it's not same. Krishna says, surrender unto me. Worship me. Madhyaj mam namaskuru. But you will see all this sentimentally, people are taking. There are a lot of issues comes in the society. The principles of dharma has to be practiced, and none of the religious practices are taught. These are the principles has to be practiced, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to be worshipped. Rather, they worship their themselves. So yeah, that's condemned by the Shastras. Thank you for bringing. So anyone else wants to share something? It's 8:53. I'm sorry, the subject got carried to this side. Charachandra Prabhu, you want to say something? Corrections? Janacharya Prabhu?
No.
Anyone else? Shamguri Mataji? No. Okay. So we will stop it here. We are very fortunate. First of all, we are very fortunate that Bhagavatam has come as a life and soul for us. We apply to ourselves and attain peace. if we are not in peaceful, we cannot give peace to others. That's the whole thing. And the first canto itself is setting such a profound philosophical conversation between the great souls. It provides all answers to message of peace. It's universally applicable, and with full confidence, faith on Prabhupada's teaching, practice and preach. Hare Krishna. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarvyascha, upasana devacha, patitana pavanebhyo.
Vaishnavena namo.